Welcome to the Mavens of Marketing, a weekly podcast hosted by me, Rachel Durkin.
And me, Carrie Barrett. We talk all things marketing, innovation, sales, and business growth strategies, and the standard tried and true marketing techniques.
Come for the conversation, stay for the savvy insights.
And the borderline inappropriate jokes.
Hello, party people, and welcome to this next episode of the Mavens of Marketing. Everything you need to know about marketing and so much more. I am one of your lovely co-hosts, Carrie Barrett, along with the fabulous Rachel Durkin. How are you? I'm
wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. And apparently I'm doing better than you because I didn't smash my computer, or my child didn't.
So I'll tell you this. Yeah. I was doing some work on my couch, set my laptop to the side to go over and get the remote. And I just laid my pen sort of in the, and my 3-year-old came up and went, bam. And I was like, ooh. And I opened it up and the screen was black. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I guess technically that's enough to break a computer, but I was hoping that it would be just a tad more durable.
The Macs are tricky. I actually had a friend, or have a friend who this is back in the college days. And we were at our table and there was wine on the table and she spilled a whole thing of wine on her Mac and it didn't work. And I felt very bad for her and she was busy the next day. So I was going to the mall and I dropped it off at Apple and I said, I don't know why it's not working. And he said, did you spill something on this? And I said, no. Oh. And he picked it up and went like this and wine just started pouring out of it onto the So you cannot lie to the Mac people.
Well, so one more thing before we introduce our fabulous guest. The same thing happened to me. So this is not an old computer. It's been in the store twice. The same thing happened, except I did it to myself and I knocked over the wine on the keyboard and I brought it in and I said, my kids spilled something on this. And then he's like, do you know what? I'm like, I don't know, but I think it's sticky. And he took the cover off and he's like, it smells like wine. Were your kids drinking?
Because there's a lot more stored in there. So either you're a liar or a bad parent. So which one did you own up to?
I'm going to go with bad parent.
Smart decision.
With that said, it's finally time to bring in our illustrious guest, Henry Kaminski. How are you?
What's going on, Carrie? Nice to meet you, Rachel. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be a fun episode. I can tell already.
What have you spilled on your computer? Yeah.
Yeah. Any laptop stories to share? No.
No, but my son loves to mess with my podcast equipment controls.
Yeah.
So every time I try to do a new podcast, I have to reset everything because he thinks he's he thinks he's the next podcaster of the year over here.
They love to move the little levers on the soundboard.
Yes. And he's 3.5. So, he's ahead of his time.
Right.
Your kids are very advanced. Mine just keeps stealing my calculator, which is very irritating because they like to play with the buttons. I don't know, but I never have a calculator at my desk anymore.
Wait, didn't you have one on your computer?
I know, but I just like having it so I can do math real quick.
Right. You should maybe you should get an abacus.
Yes.
All right. So Henry, before we jump into what we're actually here to talk about, which is social media and how to use it to sell, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell our audience a little bit about you, your company, what you do.
Yeah, super quick. Started 14 years ago as a freelance graphic designer, matured the business into a boutique branding agency that it is today. And I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs in between, like Russell Brunson and Fabio Viviani. We worked with John Bon Jovi for 2.5 years. I have a really cool roster of clients. And what we do is we help them dial in their messaging. We help them dial in their look and feel. We help them with architecting their funnels so they can generate leads and sales online. And I just fell into this. Honestly, I was working at a local hospital for 8 years and always knew I had something inside of me that said, you're going to be your own boss for the rest of your life. And I got bit by that bug and I never looked back. And here I am 14 years later, still doing what I love. So that's it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it though. So one of the things that we want to talk to you about today is some social media marketing techniques that you can use to convert followers into actual clients, which I mean, I think most of us generally get the goal of, right, creating real followers. I'm not talking about buying followers or any of that other nonsense, or having like your 13-year-old niece post your social stuff for you, which like hurts my heart when I hear people say things like that. But how do you use, I'm going to ask you like sort of a broad question, and how do you use social media to grow clients, not just followers, but to grow intentional followers that will turn into clients?
So first things first, we got to have the proper strategy, right? So there's a platform strategy for each platform. So we really need to identify who it is that we truly want to serve and what platforms are they on. For me, it's podcasts, it's Instagram, it's Clubhouse, and platforms like that. Now, the tricky part is you want to be everywhere, right? Everybody's telling you you have to be everywhere. This is omnipresence that you have to have about you if you want to be an influencer, if you want to attract the right people and all these blah, 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 blah. I think that is the wrong message to send. For me, when I realized that I love two platforms, and that's video and that's Instagram, I doubled and quadrupled down on those two things, and those two things only. So I don't feel comfortable talking about how to grow your YouTube channel because my YouTube channel is small and I haven't had that success. However, I have a pretty large following on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I know a lot about Instagram. So I'm going to sort of direct this conversation towards Instagram growth. However, pay attention to the psychology and pay attention to the fundamental strategy, which you could use on any platform.
Sure. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So tell me, what is the psychology?
What's the secret?
Yeah. So the funny thing is when you first come out on social media, you want to impact, you want to get your message out, you want to get your voice out there. And the problem that happens is we make social media very one way. It turns into a monologue real fast. Yeah. Versus a dialogue. And one of my old mentors, he said, you know, Henry, social media is literally made to make friends, to make friends. And then it brought me back to my college days. We were talking about that offline a little bit when we started. I was like a social butterfly in college, and I loved going to parties and I loved hosting them, and I loved hosting them more than going to them. Right. So I was thinking back.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's a lot of work. There's setup, there's cleanup. I just want to show up. But I see where you're going with this.
So I had somebody for that. So imagine hosting a party and you being the biggest douche of the party.
Yeah.
Not talking to anybody, being very standoffish. You could tell your ego's bigger than, you know, and imagine that. And would you ever want to go back to that party? No. So what brings you to the party? Like, people came for me, people came for my roommates, we always had fun games going on, right? So it was very engaging. It was very inviting. Yeah. So the same thing works on social media. So the minute I started to say, okay, how can I create a dialogue on my social channels versus just speaking at them? What if I spoke with them and included them? And that's on a couple different fronts. One is by asking questions, answering questions, handling objections, showcasing your work, showing some behind the scenes, showing the family side of you, giving people a well-rounded 360 view of who you are, not just business, right? People want to know you as a person. People buy people first, then they buy your product or service, right? The next thing is how do you collaborate? How do you collaborate with other? You guys are doing this great, by the way, you know, by doing this podcast together. So Instagram Live started this new feature a couple weeks ago, where you can have multiple people
Yeah.
live on the stream together. I think it's up to 10 people now. That's a little crowded for me.
They call it chats or something like that, or live boxes or something. I know what you're talking about. I don't know. It didn't matter. Go ahead.
So what happens now is, and this is where I was talking about this yesterday on a show. What happens now is you go and you find either indirect competitors or people that are in your space that have a strong, engaging following. They may not have it as big as you, or they may be as big as you, but pay attention to how their audience engages them, right? And if it's strong, right? So I have a friend on Instagram. She has like 50,000 followers, but she gets on average like 300 something comments every post.
Mhm.
That's exciting, right? That's exciting.
Yeah.
So her and I connected months ago. We did a couple live streams together, and then we did one on Monday, a couple days ago. And as we're talking in conversation, she knows a lot of the same people I know. I said, what if we get these two folks on a live stream together with us
Yeah.
this week? And she was like, that sounds amazing. So I said, right after the stream, I'm setting up a chat and we're going to make it happen. Sure enough, tomorrow we're going to do it. And it's me and 3 other pretty strong, I'm not going to call them influencers, and I don't like to call myself an influencer, but they have pretty strong followings and presence on Instagram. And the 4 of us are going to do a live stream together, me hosting it. Now, what happens when that happens is all 4 of our Instagram accounts get notified that
Yeah.
we're live together. So now what happens? We are in the middle of sharing all of our audiences together, right? So for me, when I was starting my business, I had a big head, I had a big ego. You couldn't tell me what to do. I knew all the answers, you know, and that only got me so far. And I always thought, you're out to get me, you're going to steal my clients, yada, yada, yada. And I didn't realize how far from the truth that was once I really started to collab. So collaborations and bringing in the two-way communication on your social media platforms is so the way to go.
Yeah. Come from a position where you're not, right? Even if they are sort of competitors, but they have a great engagement and an audience that you're looking to either expand into or learn about. That's a great opportunity. I mean, I have a hair salon client who we do a lot of video, and I'm like, try and go interview somebody who's in your space who has a lot of engagement. It's a way into their audience, and you're giving them something in return as well. So let me ask you this, a follow-up to the discussion of live streams, which I 100%, I mean, live is having such a moment right now across all the platforms. What do you think about the other features? And I'll focus specifically on Instagram because that's where you have your largest following and you're very active on, like reels and those other features. Do you use them as well to engage, and do you use them differently than you would say like a regular post or a story or something like that?
Yes. So great question. And we could get tactical real quick. So I hate creating my own reels.
Yeah.
I just don't like doing them. I'm not the guy that's pointing this way and pointing that way. And I'm just not that guy. And I don't think I'll ever be that guy. So this is how I use reels. And by the way, reels are huge right now because they're new and Instagram wants you to use them. So they're giving you more reach when you use them. And so here's what I do. There's this app. All you guys should write it down. It's called Fast Save. It's free. And what it allows you to do is repost IGTV posts and or reel posts.
Okay.
So what I do is I go into my reel feed and I look for the funniest. I look for the ones that have the most engagement, the views, the likes, right? And I use Fast Save and I repost that reel to my account.
Oh, okay.
But before I do that, I add a caption that's relevant to my business.
Got it. Okay.
So there's the one, you could check this out. There's one that I posted yesterday. It's this little bird crossing the street and this guy is filming it and he's got this like funky beat going on in the background, and it looks like the bird's dancing, and it's like, get it, get it, get it, get it. And it's this little bird doing this like little like dance. And so I put in the caption, when you're rebranding your business and you share it on social media for the first time.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that just got so many shares, so many likes, so many, I think we're up to like 30 something thousand views.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
that is a huge influx of reach, and it's a huge influx of audience just by leveraging a tool and B, other people's content. So, people are like, oh, well, it's not mine. It's not original. It's not this, it's not that. What is original these days? First, number two, as long as you source it and credit it, and I raise my hand. I'm not the best at it. I always forget. So, throw the pitchforks, keep throwing them. But when you put your own spin on it and you make it relevant to your audience and relevant to your business, that's when you start to kind of create some originality to it. So that's one little trick that I use for Instagram Reels that has just grown my following and grown my reach exponentially over the past couple of months.
I am doing that today.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Where it's at.
So Henry, you have some great tips for how to create engagement and grow your following, but how does that translate into revenue for all the businesses out there? How do you turn followers into clients?
That's a great question. So you have to have a funnel. I mean, you have to have a funnel that is going to guide your following to a buying decision. Okay. So a funnel could be a series of videos. It could be a series of landing pages. It could be a series of posts that just guide people to where you want them to buy. Now, this does not happen overnight. Unfortunately, it just doesn't. You have to really focus on building the relationship first and building your audience and building your community first. Get them to know, like, and trust you first. Then you can offer them your product or service. So we use ClickFunnels as a software to build these funnels out, not only for my business, but for all our clients' businesses. And what it does is it allows people to go in to their funnel and come out of social media, because what we want to do is we want to build that community offline. God forbid Instagram goes goodbye tomorrow.
Right.
My 150 something thousand followers are gone and I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So get them on an email list, get them on a text list, maybe slide them over into a Facebook group, even though I don't recommend that, because you're just, you're just sending them over to another platform.
Moving them around.
Right.
Yeah. So don't do that. Be honest. Actually, don't do that.
The one area I do believe that is helpful to move them to is an email list. I don't know how you feel about that, but an email is an asset that I think of social as an asset that you rent, and email list as an asset that you own. So there's always value there, in my opinion.
Amen. And text message, I think, is actually gonna compete with email at a much higher level. And I haven't tapped into the text message marketing stuff yet. I dabbled with it years ago, believe it or not. And I felt it to be a little intrusive. I wasn't using it right, quite frankly. And I said, you know what, let me educate myself on this before I use it again.
Yeah.
And so that's but community is a really awesome platform to use text message marketing. And the open rate is like 98%. It's like insane.
For what is this?
The name of the software is called Community.
So let me ask you, is there like a magic number when it comes to like at this certain number of followers or at this certain number, like all of a sudden the engagement goes through the roof, or your reach is, exponentially larger? Is there something that we should, and I know this is, it probably varies depending on your business and where your clients are and all that other stuff, but is there something that we should all be sort of striving for?
Yeah. And to get back to Rachel's point about how do you convert them into clients?
Yeah.
You have to come up with relevant offers for the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. And those don't have to be of monetary value. They could be, hey, click here to get this, and then click here to get this, and then click here to get this, and like train your audience to do stuff, because we all want to be led. The one mistake that I notice a lot of people making is they give out a lot of freebies and they get addicted to giving away freebie. So it's just another freebie, another challenge, another this, another that. And now when you go to sell something, like your audience is now offended that you're asking them for money, right? So what I try to do is just start right out of the gate. I'll start with something free, like a free video, like my masterclass. When you go to my website, you'll see it. It's free. It's 25 minutes and it kind of shows you the process on how I develop brands and things like that. And then it's like, take the assessment. It's $500. Like, I'm not playing. Like, this assessment is 45 minutes to an hour long, but it's going to give you the clarity and focus you need to determine what it is that you need to do to get out of this rut that you're in.
Yeah.
Right. So I immediately send them there. Right. I have a group coaching program. It's $400 a month. It's not going to make me $1 million. I don't want it to make me $1 million, but it's a stepping stone for them to, again, get them to know, like, and trust me, but to train them to make a buying decision. Like, nothing's going to happen if you don't make moves.
Right.
And on that point, I think that's beneficial for both the seller and the buyer. And the reason being is from a seller standpoint, it's a great strategy to build trust and increase the revenue during the selling. It's almost you're getting revenue during the selling process. But to the buyer, I find like our clients need to be a little bit more sophisticated in order to maximize our services in most cases. And they're not always ready to work with us. So having that kind of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior approach that brings them through their journey to get them where they need to be. So they're not spending $70,000 or whatever in the first step because they're not ready for that. They're spending a little less money and then they're growing with you. They're spending smart money, in my opinion. So I think it's a benefit to both parties. Would you agree with that?
Amen. And that's why content marketing like this is so, so important to do consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on a video every day and it sounds like overkill. It sounds like it's too much, but my mentality is if I'm not in front of my audience every day, my competition is. And that works for me. It doesn't have to work for everybody, but I love people.
Yeah.
So if I'm not out in front of the people every day, then I'm not living.
Right.
So there's this interesting, we're going off from the questions, but Henry, you're doing a great job. So we're just gonna keep running with it. Okay. So there's this, I've come full circle with this theory. When I started my business 10 years ago, my entire goal was to pull away. I had a personal brand and people wanted to work with me. And as we grew to, 10, 15, 20 people, it got to the point where it was unsustainable for everybody to work with me. So I tried to change the brand strategy to the business and the others in it. So now it's funny. I feel like we're back to the world of personal branding being so important. And so I'm just curious with your clients, and maybe this isn't relevant. I think you might be in the B2C market and I'm mostly in B2B, and I could be wrong with that. So correct me if I am, but what are your thoughts with that? Like, is there a danger to creating too much of a personal brand to a business and tying it to that business?
Absolutely not, in my opinion. Again, I'm a strong believer that people buy people first, and then they're going to buy your product, service, business, right? And I am more of a B2B service provider. So I'm working with business owners that need to become more engaging and impactful and be more top of mind to their clients, right? So that's my goal, is to help you communicate more clearly, appear more valuable, and really get a better understanding of who they're serving so that they can really laser in that message, right? So, but to your point, unless you want to exit the business, right, later on, and it's so tied around you, then there may be an issue later on. But there's tons of case studies out there like Mrs. Fields and Papa John's and all these bigger brands that turned into these big monster brands that all revolved around a person first.
So you almost become the spokesperson for the company as opposed to the company's entire infrastructure. so to
Right.
speak.
And then what happens is the business may mature, but the values are still
Mhm.
tied to that person.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that that's what connects brands to people is the founder's values,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, I think one of the a great example of this, if we're it's like Gary Vaynerchuk. We
Mhm.
all know his company because we know him, right? And people don't. Not every single one of his clients works with him. They work with other people, but we recognize who he is, and we know what the company stands for, what his business stands for, because we're so familiar with what he's putting out there.
Mhm.
Is that along the same lines?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, absolutely. I think once people start to connect with you, they're going to realize, wow, they can really help me. Look at the people that they've helped. Those people are similar to me.
Got it. Yeah.
I'm going in. Yeah, I think Henry's the right fit. I think Rachel's the right fit. I think
Mhm.
Carrie's the right fit. So I think nowadays, and look at the generation that we're gonna start serving if we haven't already started serving them. I have clients
Mhm.
in Germany that are 19 and 20 years old
Mhm.
Wow.
that dropped $10 to $15,000 on strategy. I'm not designing anything yet.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm just doing strategy, and they invested that kind of money. I don't know about you girls, but when I was 19 and 20, I wasn't dropping 15K on brand strategy.
No, I was
Maybe
still eating
beer.
yeah, exactly. I was eating ramen noodles and saving my pennies for natural light.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm really
or spring break. I don't know.
I'm super impressed with the generation that's
Yeah.
coming up,
Yeah.
and start paying attention to how they purchase,
Yeah.
because they're going to be our clients in the next 5-6 years.
Yeah,
So
that's
what
true.
would you say are the biggest mistakes people or brands are making in their efforts around building followers and
Well,
converting them to clients?
the biggest mistake I'm seeing is people are designing brands for them and not their audience and not their ideal clients.
Mhm.
I posted this on Monday. I said, stop designing the brand for you. It's not about you. It's about your ideal client. If I don't care if your daughter or son or husband or wife doesn't like the color blue or hates the logo, unless they are our ideal client, I don't care about their opinion. What I want to know is if Rachel and Carrie are our ideal client, what are your thoughts on that color scheme? What are your thoughts on that logo? Because if you don't like that, you're not buying from us, and we
Mhm.
got a bigger problem. So that's number one, is designing the brand for you and not your ideal client. So that's one. Number two is not dialing in on your ideal client. It's so easy to veer off and start talking about other stuff that isn't relevant to them. I was not victim, but I felt guilty of that many years ago. I love talking personal development stuff. And so I would go out there on social media and talk about all this PD stuff. And we would get messages. My wife and I would get messages. And what are you doing? You're not doing branding anymore. You're not doing design anymore. What are you going to be the next Tony
Mhm.
Robbins? Like my wife's getting messages like, did your husband have a career change? Like, what's up with him? And I did that for a couple of months. And I realized, holy crap, I am so off coordinate. I am so off course. I have to come and bring this back around.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm losing a tremendous amount of opportunity. So once I dialed into the client that I truly wanted to serve, and that's the client that has probably a little bit more money than time,
Mhm.
and they're looking for something that is done for them, or something that's going to fast track this hamster wheel that they've been on for a couple of months or a couple of years.
Yeah.
We had a client last year that hadn't gone through a rebrand in 5 years, and the landing page that he called his website was built in ClickFunnels, which I wouldn't recommend. And he goes, we don't even do that stuff anymore.
Mhm.
And Henry, one of the videos that you posted on Facebook talked about rebranding and talked about the importance of making that connection relevant. And I got on the call with you, and the rest is history. That was a $60,000 engagement, and it
Mhm.
took 90 days to do. So that's the power of understanding your audience and putting out the right messaging
Right.
that's relevant to them. So those are the two things: relevant messaging and designing the brand for your client, not yourself.
Right.
Mhm.
And don't give away too many freebies.
And yeah, don't train your audience
Yeah.
for free.
To be,
Mhm.
yeah.
Carrie and I had an awesome conversation on a Clubhouse call about that.
We did. We absolutely did. And I've had that conversation with Rachel a couple times too. You both beat it into me. Like, stop doing this, Carrie, because you're spinning your wheels. And I am taking you up on your advice. So
Mhm.
with that said, Henry, we're coming up on time. And I want to ask you two more questions, really. But one more question that we always ask our guests, and it is, what is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you?
All right. So I was having a really rough day one day.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not a woo-woo type of guy, but I do believe like in law of attraction. I believe in like the universe sends you signals, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm out there walking my dog. I think it was 3 summers ago. And it was hot as hell, like 80 something degrees, big, high humidity.
Yeah,
And I'm just not having a good day. Like the day didn't start well.
right.
So walking the dog up my long driveway, I'm sweating my ass off already. And I hate bugs. I hate bees. I hate bugs, period.
Ditto. Yeah.
Okay. So for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the Italian blood in me, but bugs and flies
They love you.
love the buzz around my head.
Uh-huh.
So I'm walking my dog. The dog does number 2. I clean it up.
On your own driveway. Wow.
Well, no. I'm down the street. Now.
Okay. I was like,
Even better. I'm down the street.
You wouldn't clean it up on your own driveway?
I would.
Carrie? Yeah.
So I'm down the street and it's not a fly, but a bee.
uh-huh.
So my 3.5-year-old will tell you how I feel about bees, really. So
Do you run screaming?
I'm not a screamer, but
But I'm a runner.
I'm a runner.
With respect, a respectful runner. Yeah.
So I'm walking down with the bag full of feces, and I'm walking down the street, and this bee
Uh-huh.
wants me. So it's buzzing around my ears, and this son of a bee gets right near my ear, and
Uh-huh.
it was like,
I think I know what you're gonna say.
and I went to swing with the hand with the bag of poop in it,
With the poop bag.
and
Hit
literally
your-
all over my face.
It wasn't closed.
It popped open.
Oh my
goodness.
God.
It was like a balloon that just popped open and boom,
Mm.
all over my face. And I said, talk about having a shit day.
Yeah, that's where you just fold. You cancel your meetings and you go to bed. Like that's it.
That was a sign. That was for sure a sign. What happened with the bee?
He got away.
He's probably laughing at you like sucker.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm walking down my driveway with a face full of shit.
Shit.
And now I have to go in and shower. My wife's like, what the hell's the matter with you? What's that smell?
Yeah.
And it was just a disaster. So
You were a literal shithead.
I wish that I wish somebody had recorded that because it would that moment just would have been
You wanted
that would have been some Instagram content. You would have gotten some
I was gonna say.
views on that one.
I would
That
have been
you,
on Kimmel
that
the
you
next
could have
day.
made a reel on.
I would have been on Kimmel the next day.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the silliest and weirdest things that ever happened to me. But it was a life lesson that I needed to get my shit together.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding.
Well, I'm sorry. We all have young kids, so I'm trying to potty train my 2.5-year-old now, and there's been a lot more. There's been more poop in my life than I'd like to admit lately.
I remember those days.
Sort of a daily.
My
occurrence.
son was like easy peasy 3 days. My daughter literally walked up to me the other day at dinner time and handed me something and told me it was an acorn. And you can all guess that it was not an
I know
acorn.
what kind. It sounds like she's constipated.
I feel like she did it on purpose. She's kind
Oh.
of spiteful like that.
Oh man.
I
Where did
love
this
it. I love it.
conversation Go? Where did this conversation go?
I don't know. It went
Yeah,
off
we've
the
gone off
rails.
the rails. All right, Carrie, bring us back.
Yes,
Let's
yeah,
get-
okay,
let's
so-
get- yeah.
End the plane.
So you
Yeah.
did answer my first question. My second question and final question, I think, is this. If people are interested in working with you, Henry, if they'd like to find out more about you, where should they go?
So this is a podcast, right?
Yeah,
This is going to be published on iTunes and stuff.
and YouTube.
Awesome. Okay. So go to my YouTube channel, The Brand Doctor. Best place to get me if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening to this, go check out the Brand Doctor podcast. You'll get access to my site and all my other social channels through there. So the Brand
Right.
Doctor podcast on iTunes, Spotify, etc. We're on a ton of channels.
And the Brand Doctor on Instagram. We got to mention.
Yeah,
that.
the Brand DR on IG. Yeah.
Very
We
good.
can see the dancing duck.
Yeah. And you know what? Before we wrap up, we were so interested in this conversation, Rachel and I forgot to tell people where they could find us. So Rachel, go ahead.
So for those of you who are new to this, you can find my company website at Paradigm, PARADIGM-MD.com. We are a web marketing and branding agency serving mostly clients with complex sales in the B2B marketplace. And Carrie, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me at carriebarrettconsulting.com. I am a media trainer, a dash of production company, and some PR as well. I help my clients expand their presence in the digital landscape and in the media through the effective use of compelling video. So check me out, and I appreciate a follow on Care Barrett Consult, which is my Instagram channel. And of course, if you're watching this on the Mavens of Marketing YouTube channel, we'd love you to give a quick subscribe there as well. Henry, it was fabulous to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody that's watching. We'll see you back here next week, same time, same place. See ya.